Welcome to a game between TheWarning here in red, starting jump bots with a support commander. And here we have a support commander with an amphibot factory, played by ATOSTIC. So ATOSTIC requested this replay, and yeah, I mean, TheWarning requested this replay, and he wondered what he did wrong in this game. Um, and let's see. Uh, he goes for jump bots on this map. This map is pretty hilly, as you can see. There's a lot of terrain to work around. Um, and jump bots potentially have some hills they can use, some cliffs they can jump up and down and try to abuse. So it's a decent choice. Amphibot, they also have some pretty good maneuverability on this map, and they're not really threatened by the puppies, so yeah. Pyros can do decently against one or two ducks, but against three ducks they're gonna struggle a bit, and you're probably gonna have to repair it. Like you have to kill a duck or one or two ducks, do a bit of, and then retreat and basically repair. So let's see how TheWarning plays this. His start was kinda economic, and yeah, he's expanding now, and ATOSTIC is expanding as well. So yeah, on this map you need a lot of energy at start because these mechs are pretty valuable, so you're building lots of energy. That's good. So let's see how this pyro fight goes. It's a move command, you notice. And let's see how it does here against two ducks. You can burn the ducks a bit, which helps. But now you're already down to half the health, and there's four ducks here. So yeah, retreating is the right choice. You jump to get out of the water a bit quickly, that's nice. And let's see if it does. This duck, yeah, it burns down damage. The water isn't high enough, I think, to make this duck not be on fire, but it still regenerates their health a bit, the water. Water regenerates health on ducks, but for like ducks, it's not much. It's like 3 HP per second maximum in this water, so it's not a lot extra for ducks, but it's quite noticeable on like boys that have a really good regen. They're gonna regenerate like 20%, 20 HP per second or something like that. So that's one of the reasons why Amphibot might be a dominant factor on this map. The XRG regen and since they don't lose any movement speed in water, that makes them a little bit stronger thanks to the river than if the river hadn't been there. Yeah, retreating here is a good choice. 3 ducks, maybe even so the Lutus. I don't think did, but yeah, you can't attack into that. And this Pyro, yeah, it's gonna start regenerating now, so that's nice. It starts regenerating after like, is it 100 seconds or 60 seconds? Yeah, it's quite a while. But it's still worth to retreat it and make it self-heal than to stay here. And you kill another duck, that's nice. And damages quite a few. So that's pretty good Pyro micro so far. And you're expanding pretty well behind this. You're a little behind. But you keep building energy. You have pretty balanced energy and metal income. That's nice. So you get one duck there, two ducks. Yeah, nice. So that's really good micro by using the pyros. I'd have to say. Yeah. Just keeping them alive and then having them regenerate. So if you see this pyro, it's gonna get back to the base here. Yeah, it's 100 seconds, I think, to start regenerating. So it's a bit like in between if you want to send it all the way back. And looks like will this jump save this pyro? It doesn't look, and you're gonna sacrifice this pyro. That's kind of nice. If you get a burn damage off, these units might burn for quite a while. So yeah. So you get one duck with the burn damage, but not more. They didn't really quite run through the fire. If a unit runs through the fire, when the pyro dies, they're gonna burn for a really long time. So yeah, it's a choice you have to make. Like, hey, am I gonna lose this pyro or not? And should I sacrifice it or not to make more burn damage? Here you're a bit unattentive. You jump a bit too late. Just you barely missed that missile. Nice. So yeah, now you're gonna retreat it while you burn down. Yeah, you burn down two ducks. This duck might. No, it survives just barely. So yeah, some pretty good micro there. And you're gonna set up a forward position here. That's decent against ducks, I have to say. So yeah, at this point you're actually ahead of the enemy in expansion. And you haven't really lost. Have you lost? You lost like one pyro and killed a few more ducks. That's pretty nice. Right, I should enable the attrition counter. It's a good widget to have when watching replays. You can search for the attrition. Then you can see it won't be updated right now. But yeah, I don't like to play with it, but it's a decent, it will give you a decent indication how you're doing. You won't see like units if they burn and die out of line of sight. I don't think it will count. So you will only see like units that you have actually killed and seen die of the enemy. You run a bit too far with these. And that's the sad thing, you kill like one duck, two ducks maybe. Oh, and the enemy, are they doing with the commander? If you're taking, you should be taking note here. Oh, the ATOSTIC, what are we doing? Oh, that's such a waste. Such a waste. You could okay, you're gonna take that mix. Okay, that's fine. So yeah. Yeah, if you're not paying attention with pyros, they're not gonna do well. Yeah. But that's a really big throw by ATOSTIC, losing that commander like that. That's a lot of reclaim that you also have, like 500 reclaim that you can go and take if you want. But you're gonna choose to fortify the center instead. You could be pushing up here once the commander was dead. It's a choice, a commander. It's a bit risky to push into if there comes boys and stuff, so it depends on the situation. Decent fight there. You also burn some units here. Yeah, so if we look at the attrition, you're really far ahead right now. If we looked at early game value killed, yeah, you were a bit ahead all the time. And right now you're pretty far ahead. So yeah. So for example, this is a low defended area. There's no defense, just two ducks. These pyros would easily overrun this area. There's now no defense here. I guess you don't have any radar, so you can't quite see it. That's why it's good to have radar. You can see like lone constructors building stuff in the front and maybe go there. You're starting to have a little low energy though. You should, I mean, it's kind of balanced, but at this map, Overdrive is pretty good, especially with these two starting mexes. Overdrive is pretty good on these, so I generally just set a unit to make some wins up to this hill, and then you have good win on this hill, and then you can even make a geothermal on this map. It's pretty good. So yeah, at this point you're kind of losing like, I guess you don't know how far ahead you are, but you're really far ahead at this point. If you would just try to raid more pyros, do decently against ducks. I don't think they don't do too well against archers, so you want to be careful how we engage archers. Because the archer has splash damage, quite a lot of splash damage. So if you're trying to overrun it, you're likely to take a lot of splash damage if you have your pyros bunched up. So yeah, but this area is completely open now. This is a missed opportunity for you not at least try to probe this area with one or two pyros. Like if you have just sent one or two pyros here, if you're paying attention, you can like run into a lotus turret and then choose to retreat. It's a choice, like, or if you send like 3-4 down here, you can run over a few lotus turrets. Yeah, it's really good. And this is a really good response. Like moderators are pretty good against amphbots in general, I'd say, because yeah, they can kind of skirmish decently against boy because they can dodge a shot and they really counter archers and scallops. And bulkheads are a bit bulky, so they're hard to DPS down. On the other hand, you can kind of dodge their shots, but it takes quite a lot of attention to do it, so yeah. And if you catch a grizzly out of position and slow it down, yeah, it's easy to finish off with moderators and pyros. Ooh, this is a lot of archers. This might be a really bad engagement for you if you go in with the pyros here. But you have moderators coming here, so the moderators should really counter these archers. And you started expanding your economy. You have a geothermal there. So that's nice. It's gonna give you some overdrive. And yeah, and ATOSTIC chooses to retreat when he sees these archers. And here comes 5. Are they gonna go to commander? They can just go for the commander in this position. That may be a really good target. And your area was just a bit too late. Or is he gonna go for the factory? Yeah, you're gonna start making swifts now. It looks like he's gonna bomb the build power. It's a decent choice, especially when there's no cons here next to it. Although, if they try to bomb the commander, they're really gonna suffer against the moderators. So, yeah. Although you're a bit unconcentrated here, like your moderators could be pushing here still. And I guess you're starting to excess now, which is expected when the enemy made all this. When the enemy made this attack. If you have enough, I guess you're trying to attack the front at the same time. But if you have attack time, you can just queue up some wind generators and try to spend this metal while your commander is building these caretakers. But it takes a bit of like multitasking, and you seem to have been getting quite a bit of better at multitasking, so that's nice. And yeah. He's gonna try to go for your stingers here, which is a decent choice, but the pyros are close. Yeah, ATOSTIC is gonna go somewhere else. You can't really bomb these moderators, although there's a lot of ducks and no pyros here. Like you choose to... Leaving all your moderators alone is a bit risky if the enemy can spam out this. Ducks are pretty cheap, so they can easily overrun these moderators. So this is gonna be a really bad engagement for you. Because the ducks can just overrun the moderators. And all your pyros were here, so basically almost against any factory, you don't want to leave your moderators alone unless you know you can actually shoot down all the incoming spam, because almost every factory has some spam they can use, except like Tank Factory. Tank Factory doesn't have a good cheap unit they can just throw at moderators, so moderators are really good against tanks. But here, yeah, the ducks are just continuing, and they might even run down this defense. Would it be worth it? Questionable against the Stardust? Yeah. Meanwhile, your pyros, they were forcing these archers to move around with you, but yeah, you lost quite a few units in that engagement. Your moderators, if you look at value kill here, yeah, the enemy is catching up big time here. You're still ahead though. And yeah, this is a raid that you could have gotten long ago, but you did decently nicely trying to like outmaneuver this unit. On the other hand, this is looking a bit dangerous, like letting all these ducks into your base. It depends on the timing, like having these 3 pyros would help a lot. And also, you're bunching up your attack too much. Problem is, when you're close to caretakers and the caretakers blow up, they're gonna damage your own pyros. And also the fire in the end, if you have like a lot of pyros close to each other when they die, there's also a few extra 100 damage, so your pyros go down really quickly here. Meanwhile, yeah, you just barely saved this defense. You lost some caretakers again, and you're gonna access, although maybe your enemy will access as well. Yeah, your enemy is accessing hard as well, so that's decent. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on at the same time there. Like you had some pyros here that should have been here defending instead, and but you still managed to outmaneuver the archers. But I still, in the end, it's a decent trade. If you look at the value kill here, you still came out ahead of that actually in value kill. And if we look at the metal excess, the first initial excess didn't made you excess a little bit, like 600 metal, 500 metal, and then yes, 200 more, 300 more. That's pretty good managed by you to get all this metal spent. But yeah, you lost all your moderators, and now you don't really have anything to counter the archers. Sending him these pyros would probably be suicide. But yeah, you're gonna switch to moderators again, which is the correct choice. So still, you're still in a decent position. You just need to pump out the moderators, and you're still ahead of the enemy, so to speak. So if you get these moderators out and keep some pyros with the moderators, really you don't need that many. Like if you have, if you risk getting overrun by the enemy, if you just have 3 or 4 pyros with these moderators, like in the beginning, you can set set one of them to guard. You set 4 of them to guard 1 moderator, and maybe even you could even lower the selection rank so you don't accidentally select all pyros across the map and they run away from the moderators and into defenses. Like if you're controlling a group of pyros here, you might want to select all of them on the map, and you don't want these pyros to be selected. So you can decrease the selection rank of the pyros, and you can have it guard a moderator so it's always there. And once the enemy is trying to overrun your moderators with a stinger there, that's gonna kill these pyros real easily. So that didn't do much. Yeah, so then you can set a guard command on the moderator, and then you can just have it around, and once the ducks are coming in, you set a fight command, and the pyros are gonna do decent way staying out of range of the ducks and killing a lot of the ducks while the ducks are trying to kill the moderators. And this switch to fencers is an interesting one. They're decently good against pyros, and they're really good against moderators, especially if you have a smaller army. So at this point, you should have already retreated long ago. You're still sending your moderates forward, but they're easily gonna get overrun by these fencers, or rather, not really overrun, but outranged and then DPS down, because yeah, moderators are rather fragile. So yeah, that was a mistake, not just retreating these moderators, and the fencer can't really catch them. They have to stop the fire, and they can't just... If they drive into range with the moderators, they're gonna take damage, and then the moderator's gonna keep retreating, and yeah, fencers can't chase down moderators if you just retreated here. But now it seems you were doing microing pretty well before. Now I'm not sure what you're focusing on. Like you're trying to bomb these. Fencers are decent flex AA. They almost kill this Phoenix bomber. And here comes another attack. You have a fair few bombers. Looks like he's gonna try to bomb the energy for you. That's kinda not worth it. It's gonna energy stall you a bit, so it might be worth it. And also, if you take care not to fly over the fencers too long, you burst away. That's nice. And you're making a juggernaut. That's a good counter actually for these fencers. In this situation, if there's just fencers, I guess we're some archers. Jacks are also a way to push them back. Firewalker is also a way to counter. The most reliable counter is Firewalker, I'd say. Juggernaut also works. Like you can jump in and grab some fencers, and then yeah, you have a good time. The problem is Juggernaut is so slow, it's only 34 elmos a second, that ATOSTIC, his skill with using fencers and trying to outmaneuver the opponent, he just went and tried to start raiding you instead, and since fencer outranges most defenses, yeah, he's gonna have a decent time. And this Juggernaut chasing them, yeah, it's not fast enough. So yeah, decent counters are like placeholders, jacks, firewalker against fencers. So yeah, it looks like, yeah, ATOSTIC is catching up, and he's now back ahead of you actually in total value. Yeah. Firewalker is in general pretty good against, yeah, against Rovers. So yeah. Although it's still not a fast unit, it's still faster than the Juggernaut. So yeah, not having any Pyros alive in this situation is hurting you a lot. Like if you had some Pyros alive or even some Moderators, you could keep up with these Scorchers more easily, and even the Fencers. Like, yeah, if you're forcing the Fencers on the run, you can chase them with Pyros and try to finish them off. But now that you lost all your Moderators and uh, and Moderators and Pyros, yeah, it's a tough time for you. And now this Juggernaut is all alone in the field like this. The problem with the Juggernaut is most of the time you need to repair it to make cost. And the enemy raided you really well, so yeah, you lost almost all your mixes. Yeah. Let's see here how it does. This is 1700 of Juggernaut against 700, like 1000 of fencers. And yeah, the Juggernaut is half health and killed like all of them, but yeah, it's less than half health. The problem with this Juggernaut is when it pulls itself units towards it, it's gonna take some damage on the collision when it's been hit by an enemy. So yeah, you almost always need to repair Juggernaut to make cost. Juggernaut in that sense is like, yeah, it's good at countering stuff, but you need to repair it. And it is slow, so you need some pyros and moderators to keep the flanks. And yeah, it's tempting to do juggernauts like this, but if you don't have map control, you're just gonna lose the map like that. A lot of the late game for the jump bot player, is to conserve the units. And if they get firewalkers up and juggernauts, there's nothing. It's really hard to counter that, because you can just keep burning these light units at distance. You can pull in heavy units like grizzlies and finish them off with pyros and moderators. But yeah, you need to keep those units alive basically as much as you can throughout all the games. Sacrificing pyros to raid is fine, but you should try to avoid heavy defenses. Um, and going for base trade with pyros, they're still rather fragile, so it's still risky to go for a base trade with pyros. It's likely they're gonna burn themselves when they die, and they're gonna take damage from the explosions of buildings. Yeah. And Phoenix, they're not that good units. They can be good, but if you face opposition like fencers that can hit air, if you fly over archers that can hit air, yeah, you're gonna have a bad time. So yeah, and your units was out of position because they're so slow. So if you get into the late game where you want to spam juggernauts and firewalkers, you really need to have pyros and moderators ready, and you need to use units to repair the juggernauts as well. But once you get the combo up, it's really strong. So if there is like two takeaways from this replay, I would say, yeah, basically be careful how you use moderators. You want to be careful so you don't lose them against spam. Either if you have radar up so you see how much spam is coming, or if you just keep some pyros with them all the time. You can, yeah, as I said, you can set them on a different selection priority, and then they can go in, always be with the moderators guarding them. So yeah. You can right-click a unit to make it a guard a unit when you get the shield icon up. Um, oh lol. Yeah, if you pull in the ravens and have some moderators, yeah, it's really hard to get the firewalkers. Like the late game combo of the shield bots is having firewalkers, some moderators, and some pyros against some spam. You don't need many pyros. But yeah, bombers can't approach that. Maybe a Lico can approach it. But if you catch a Lico with like you can catch it if it gets hit by the moderator. So if you catch it with a Juggernaut by pulling it in, yeah, it's a good unit. You're likely to even catch a Lico. And here the Pyros, yeah, they're not doing much even against a few fencers because, yeah, you had a bad concave. So yeah, you were doing really good up until the point where you lost your moderators. Like you were ahead in value kill the whole game. Your pyro micro in the early game was good, and it kept you out expanding your opponent, uh, or it kept you even. I guess you were pretty even in out expanding, and during the mid game, yeah, you got ahead for a bit. I guess the enemy has spent a lot on overdrive, which in the end gave them a lot of metal. But on the other hand, you had problem protecting your expansion. So that if you have just gridded with like winds, it would probably have gone down. But you could have started gridding with that earlier. So if we look at the economy value, yeah, your enemy had a bit more economy value than you, and you were unable to raid it. So that's a part of why ATOSTIC had a comeback. But really, if you look at the total value, you were ahead. But then you took a few bad engagements with your moderators. And let's see, when was the base trade? Yeah, I think this was a base trade, and you somehow still managed to get out ahead after that. But after that, oh, and look at how much metal you made ATOSTIC excess in that base trade. Yeah. So that's part of the reason why you got so far ahead after the base trade. Because, yeah. But then you, yeah. But then you lost all your moderators and you didn't have enough pyros, and you started switching into juggernauts without having any map control. So yeah, losing these moderators up here was kind of unnecessary. And then not having any pyros with them to see them not seeing, and also not probing this position earlier. Already when an enemy commander has died, you could have pushed up here, but then this expansion was basically undefended for, I don't know, a long time. And you could have just probed it with 2-3 pyros and you would have seen that. So yeah, and you should be ready for the late game combo with pyros, moderators, and firewalkers, and then you can maybe have juggernauts or jacks or some placeholder. It's a really good late game combo, but you have to repair the units. Otherwise, it's really good. So yeah, I like to see you improving. You have improved a lot. So good luck and have fun.